Welcome back to PCM Yeti, episode 123. We're about to wrap up our season. It's already in Lombardia. I have skipped ahead, and this will be the final race that we conduct this year so that we can move into the next season and see the new riders we're bringing in and progress a lot faster than we have in recent times. The snowballing's nearly done, right? There really isn't much left to do other than emerge as the number one team, where right now we're the number 3 team, but we're not even World Tour. That looks like that's finally going to happen for next year, as we're still locked in on that 13th position. But as we enter this Lombardia, we're in a disappointing state for now. The disappointment being Vacek, for one, never got that fitness peak during La Vuelta and managed to turn in a really good performance otherwise. A performance that, with a fitness peak, almost certainly would have been a top 3 instead of a top 5. He put in a good ride, and we won a lot of stages. So it was, phenomenal time. I'm really happy with where we're at in regards to that position. And I've certainly had the comment here or there, but playing with the +5 -5 instead of the game's new default of a +3 -3 that they started last year, having that, setting your team up, preparing for races is important. We prepared for that race, however, it was a back-to-back, and because of the back-to-back of the Tour de France and then going into La Vuelta, offset things, and without that proper preparation, Vacek never got that fitness peak. It hit like 2 days after the tour. It's gone now. It's only been, 3 weeks since the tour ended, since La Vuelta ended, and now here we are at Lombardia with our next objective, and nothing, because it just ended like 24 hours ago. Maybe 48. So 2 days the wrong side of the end of La Vuelta, 2 days the wrong side of the start of Lombardia. Not only do we have that disappointment of missing the fitness peak entirely, and for any of the other guys here as well, really, because we only had the 2 riders who saw a fitness peak at La Vuelta total for the entire roster. But as we approach the crest and near the top of this climb, first of 3 bigger climbs on the day, the other disappointment is just how bad the draw is today, because there are a couple of riders on fitness peaks with +5s expected. The entire team had an objective. I had to drop one rider, Derek G, because he was dead tired, absolute dead tired. -7 was his expected race day condition for today. So we replaced him with Panamar, who is good and fit right now, but not having the objective. So he had a 0 race day condition expected. He's got a -1. Abdullah had a 0 expected. Oh, no, sorry. Abdullah had a -1 because he does have some fatigue as well. Not the, -7 territory, but a -1 territory. And he drew a -1. Puck. Hey, somebody hit a 0 race day condition. His expected was +2. Vacek had a +1, so he's got a -1 draw. Zayat's +5 expected, only a +3, so he's a -2. Free Salam had a +3 expected. He's got a -1 draw. Haddad, +5 expected. Only a +3. So across the board for this team, not a single rider has a positive race day condition draw. And across the board, we're talking about an average of about a -1.5 points. Give or take. I didn't count the numbers exactly, but we're talking about something along the lines of a -10 here. Really poor draw for a race that I was supposed to be coming really prepared for. And only one rider carrying too much fatigue. That's like has some minor fatigue here. But we're done with that climb, and we're good and recovered. We got a short climb ahead of us, and then a little gap before we get into the next pretty steep climb. Breakaway today, just 4 riders and already down to just over 2 minutes. Not much of a break, but our tempo has not been terribly forgiving yet. It's kind of amazing to me that we didn't lose any riders on that previous climb. All 171 beyond the 4 in the break are still intact. Now 90k left and we go up the biggest climb of the day, and this one, when you crest, you're not done, right? You're going to get some undulation and a little bit further climbing before you take the longer descent. So 2 factors here. We start this climb not at full strength, not quite at full strength. So we've got a few guys, especially some domestiques, that were a little bit extra fatigued. Already a few riders out the back from that previous shorter, steeper climb. And so early on in this one, as we still haven't caught that breakaway, by the way, but 11k, 6%, and we are drifting. We are absolutely drifting. But there's enough riders here that conserving the energy is really, really important on this one. Trying to get all the guys over the top. But I think we might be drifting a little bit farther and faster than I would like for us to do. So let's up the effort just a little bit. Try a 79 to see if that holds position a little bit more, and maybe, you know, the occasional bike length lost. We are starting to get into the back portion. And Free Salam, are you? Yes, Free Salam is further back on his own. He is not protected right now. But speaking of protected, let's get our 3 domestiques to gel up. We are getting pretty high up on this climb, and I don't think they're going to last too much longer. And we're still drifting just slightly here, especially Free Salam. So up the effort. This is the back end. This is the back end, but the guys are nearly there. The others are going to have to speed up here too, I believe. There goes Abdullah. He's heading out the back. Free Salam is going to need to protect somebody. We're down to 105, so there's quite a few riders out. Yep, there is the back right there. Who is now solo? It's Fatsek. So Free Salam is going to protect him. Here goes Puck. Puck about to drop out the back. Panamar about to lose contact. That's all 3 domestiques out. Okay, Zayats and Haddad are now solo and trailing almost off the back. We've saved enough energy that they will make it here, though. But we need to get these guys to up that effort and not lose contact. Okay, we have crested. 87 left in the peloton. We've got a lot of time for these guys to recover position. However, this undulation is not, it's no joke, right? We've still got a little bit of up and down here before we hit the nice solid descent where you can recover position and spent energy. So we have our 4 guys heading into the final major climb of the day, though it's definitely not the final climb to the finish line. Glad to see we still got 4 guys, and you can see there is immediately riders dropping out the back. Okay, a little more. Hold that position. Don't let riders slipping out cause us to see a split. Just the 1 more, but it's short and steep. And Vatsek, whoa. Acceleration happening there. Vatsek nearly got dropped. Haddad, good solid climber today, but still only a +3. Anytime we hit a mountain stage, he always seems to have that negative race day condition. And he's got it again. I mean, yes, it's a +3, but it was supposed to be a +5. It would have absolutely made him a favorite, along with Fatsek, and no. and look how fatigued they are all of a sudden. So that energy that we saved, they've recovered to the front over that flat section. And they'll make it over the top of this one, but not Free Salam. Free Salam is going to drop here pretty quickly. But from a front position, will he just about hang on to this thing? And then we can get some water and use a good amount of, his recovery to bring water forward and at least get us set for the final phase of this race. Oh, he's fine. He is completely fine. 70 left. 68 left. 67. Another rider dropping. He's already back in position. Okay, water. Hold on, slow down for a second. Let's intend. Their heart rate is super low. Never mind. Heart rate is super low. They will recover rapidly. slowing them down to a 30 on pace will not impact that whatsoever. Heart rate's already as low as it can be, and they're holding position, so they're cruising. 67 here. Free Salam, though, got the water already. Nice. Now, see, his heart rate's a little bit higher because he's riding hard to come forward. But they're not riding hard. Just Free Salam. He needs to find this open space, though, and push. Come on, get forward so your heart rate can settle. Hand over those water bottles. There you go. Ooh. A little bit flatter section, and it is preventing their recovery. So ease off. There's not much descent left for them to try to get back towards full strength. So this time we will hammer that out and see them get a little more. We're about to flatten out. So at least ride a bit. Can't afford to drift here when we're about to hit that climb. Coming back forward will use a lot more energy than this recovery will do for us. But keep that heart rate low as long as we can. Still getting an ounce of recovery right now and not drifting, so playing with fire at the moment. Alright, let's hold. We're about to start climbing again. Can't afford to go backwards. But we got a hair more recovery out of it. Alright, Free Salam, we will gel up early because we could see a pretty hefty pace here soon. At some stage I might even want to inflict a heavy pace, but I like the punchiness of Vatsek and what he could maybe do on that final climb to set it up to go for a win if we still have 4 guys. Right, so, well, if we still have 3 guys, there's no way Free Salam's going to make it over this climb. Paso de Ganda, 9.3k, 7.3% gel for Free Salam. Let's get the other 3, hold that position a little bit better, conserve here. A little early on, but we can't afford to go backwards. Not much. This is not the climb to drift on, because if there's an attack and we're at the back, we're screwed. But we got to help ourselves make it over the climb, and we are doing just that. Okay, again, ramp it up a little bit more. Okay, I'm done drifting. That's far enough back. So 85. That's still not enough. Oof. Free Salam's nearly toast here, and here comes the first acceleration. Some of those favorites going for it, but there's plenty of guys to chase it down at the moment. Steepest section upcoming. We just went through this more gradual section just now, and then we're about to go up. Oh no! Come on! Gosh, I hate when the game does that. Absolutely hate it. We're at an 87, rolling up to a 90, and then poof! Our efforts. What was it? 70 flat. Yeah, not how you want that one running. 42 guys chasing down 2. That's why we're riding a lot harder right now. And this is the steepest ramps. Steepest ramps right here, right now. Zayats, let's go ahead and protect Vatsek as you're here. Haddad's already further up and riding on his own just fine. But we've got to up that effort and up that effort a little bit. Can't drift out the back. Okay, that's more effort than I need. So ease off again. 91. Zayats might not make the top on this one. Okay, we've caught those front guys. 41 left in contention. Ease off a little bit here. Next acceleration, so ease back into it. Yeah, that's your favorites going for it. Zayats, gel. Now or never on that, but we still need you around if we can. 33 has 7 more dropped. Ucha Brooks, the other favorite, going for it. So the 2 favorites have been attacking Pagacher. Okay, and I've still got my other 2 guys in position, but here goes Zayats, about to go out the back. Set him to auto. Next big acceleration, and there is the crest. We'll check in with what's left of this field as... Ooh, there's a major rider. Sal Lindqvist, 80 Mountain. Seychelles, 81. These guys just hanging on, aren't they? Just hanging on. Vatsek and Haddad are here, and Zayats is close, but 28 left in contention. But there's definitely a few guys here on this little flat undulation. Rafferty, Pelazari, Sivikov, gone. Hanging out at the back is Edvin Hagland. Getting dropped. Yes, they are dropped. Ben O'Connor. Burhi. Damn, Burhi's got an 80. Alright, we've got 21. 21 left in contention. These 16 easily have the firepower to catch those 5, though. Especially with only a few seconds separating them. And the recovery is on. I will allow both to recover separately. No need to protect. They need some energy. You're on flat and then a short climb from there. So you just need to have something. Contact made with the front 5. So now 21 in contention. Zayats is A3. So there's 7 riders in between if it comes back together. I would love to have Zayats back, but at the same time, I think I'd rather have 21 with 2 of those 21. Most teams are going to be at 1 rider here. Haddad, well recovered. His +3 definitely helping him out, but Vatsek is a better sprinter and more punchy, so we ride for Vatsek regardless if Zayats makes contact or not. Vatsek's the guy. 18.5 kilometers left. It's nice that we're still in contact here over the top. I think every year prior for Lombardia we've been close at that stage, but didn't make it over that final climb. Like, we made it to that final hefty climb and then been dropped during it, and your Pogacar or whatnot go free in a small group, 5 guys, 10 guys, 20 guys, and just not us in it. Today, we're in it. We are in it. And Zayats is still A3, but they are a minute 35 down. It's 30 seconds to each group. His group is 3 riders. Linkvist, Bissau. 3 riders chasing really hard right now, but they will have literally nothing left. So your winner is going to be one of these 21. Even if those 3 make contact, they don't have a chance. They are burning through their energy right now to try to make contact, and they're not really progressing. They've gained about 5 seconds is all. There are just 10 kilometers left. But it was pretty clear they were riding very hard. Vatsek did not recover terribly well, but it's a short climb. It is a short climb. He will have something in the tank, especially following Haddad. Haddad, let's go ahead and protect him. Lower that heart rate a little bit for Vatsek. There you go. See, dropped a little bit. Dropped about 5 beats anyway. Take a little less out of him as we head into this. 7K left. 7K left. Haddad, now's your time to gel so we can set up Vatsek. And now those 3 are starting to fade. So not going to make contact. All right, we've got something to come. It looks like a little cobbled sector and a 1.4K climb at 7.5%, maxing out just shy of 10. Round the quarter, and then we'll start moving. Even though that's bringing it awfully late, but Vatsek is not in the shape I want him to be. There's a chance that I'm running the... Haddad can't win. Okay, here's the bottom line. Haddad can't win. Vatsek can. Vatsek does not have the energy. I fear that he's not going to have the energy to finish this race. Haddad will, but Haddad can't win. Vatsek can. We're going to go for the win, rolling the dice that Vatsek can hold out between the little cobbled sector and the climb. It's the 5K banner. Gel for him as well, and Haddad, we've got to... Vatsek, it's the sprint, it's not separation, so Haddad's got to be steady. There's your gravel, or cobble, 3 stars, 600 meters. Vatsek is hanging in there. Who went solo? Like, there was no separation there. Pool... What? Pool did go clear. Okay, we're at the tail end of this thing, but we're over the top. Now we can ride hard for Vatsek. But we're at the back end of this. We're at the back end of this. Haddad, 2K. Sprint now, sprint now, sprint now. We're too far down, we're too far down. Vatsek, conserving him, ruined it for us. Here we go, final 600 meters. Vatsek coming through. Steinhauser was the one who attacked and went clear, and did go clear. Malesi, Poole, Van Wilder, trying to conserve Vatsek to set up the finish. Did not work out. We're going to just miss the top 10. Lenny Martinez takes that 10th. Your favorites, though, Ucha Brooks, Martinez, Pogacar, they didn't win either. Vatsek right behind them in 12th, and Haddad 14th. Best result we've had at Lombardia, but very much not the win. Vacek needed a little more. That 0 race day condition, right? The only guy capable of getting the downhill and the sprint, he's got a 77 downhill, and the capability to finish off that last kilometer ahead of others, but not on a 0 race day condition. If they were flipped and Haddad was 0 and Vacek had the +3, maybe, just maybe, he certainly would have had more energy in the tank. We could have ridden harder through the cobbles and through the climb and been at the front instead of the back. We conserved enough to get him there. Haddad never would have won the sprint. Haddad would have been in the middle of the pack. Would he finish above 14th? Well, obviously, right? If we rode hard for Haddad, but he never would have finished off the sprint. At best, he would have 7th or 8th or 9th, something along those lines. Better than what it turned out for Vacek, right? We didn't get enough of a sprint at the end on that to compete. But nonetheless, our best result at Lombardia. I will hope for more next year, as we're going to be aiming for those monuments. A couple key races, but we are going to bypass a lot next season. But of course, we've got those Grand Tours. Those Grand Tours, they will take up a lot of the episodes for next season. But that's it for this season. Let's get into the wrap-up portion of it. Of course, I've still got another race to sim, but I want to see those rankings and a certain guy who sits second in the individual rankings. For the second time in this series, and before we've reached the end of the season here, we can now focus solely on the Tour de France. Of course, we're not going to do just that, but snowballing is now going to be a done deal for the World Tour races. There was only one left, and Vasilevsky, coming back from a minor injury here recently, he missed just a couple of days right before this race, or right before Lombardia actually, but Lombardia is like 2 days before Tour of Guangxi. Vasilevsky has won a stage with Harasim helping to lead him out. Vasilevsky did level up recently and has an 80 sprint base, but he's got the same problem really of Shaw. 77 flat, good top speed, but not much acceleration and not much stamina. But the quick sim doesn't take those kind of real life things into account, where being well-rounded helps, but a totally flat stage, and it has netted his victory and puts him into the lead of the race for the time being, as he already podiumed one of the earlier couple of stages. This was stage 3 here, but Vasilevsky gives us the final snowball, and thus Hungary is added to the pool. It was a foregone conclusion they would win at some point, and probably will before we hit the Tour de France, and actually need it. That's a few more points there before we go to wrap up this season. I don't think it's going to be enough to make a difference, but we are actually awfully close to number 2 in the rankings, or at least we were at the end of La Vuelta here 3 weeks ago or so. Belarus also picks up a couple of popularity points just in time, actually, as I think the new riders are generated at the first of the year, and so this will add a bit more to that pool, which really only had a handful of riders. It was Pop 2 Nation. There's only something like 5 in the pool for Belarus, so I would imagine that's going to give them at least 2 to 3 new riders generating for the coming year. But at 16, we'll never get far enough into this one. With the release of PCM 25 coming, we're not going to get that many seasons down the road. Vasilevsky has gone and won another stage, picking up the stage win on the final stage of this tour. But if you remember the tour, there's one punchy stage. It's just punchy. It's hard to get some separation there, but when quick simming, it's easy enough to happen. And so it was Champison who won that stage and opened the gap he needed to claim the overall victory. Ponemar, though, does score a top 5. Vasilevsky, with 20 seconds worth of bonuses, recovers some of his losses from that stage to finish in the top 20. But 2 stage wins for Vasilevsky, and a points jersey goes to him as the best sprinter of the race, the only one to win multiple stages. But of course, with the pool exhausted, the snowball's done, a regular World Tour win now nets nothing. It's Tour de France only for the biggest nations, five biggest nations remaining. 1 pop 8 and 4 pop 9s. Well, I've waited to the 2030 season to finally use my vote for the Star of the Year or Writer of the Year, and should be Pogacar should win this pretty comfortably, but obviously, as I have a vote and he is our writer and he's had a phenomenal season with a number of wins, Vacek, who sits second in the points, has gotten my first place vote. But I have gone realistic and not trying to game the system to push votes in the favor of Vacek. I've used it legitimately. Pogacar, the favorite, gets my number 2 vote. Vingegaard, Malesi, and Milan get the other top votes. As previously mentioned, we are locked in for World Tour. It's finally happened. 13th was that final ranking, so we did not move from the spot where we had last checked in early September, after the vast majority of the key riders had all been signed and there was only a few 5-star guys left, and it looked pretty clear at that point that we were safe, and sure enough, nothing changed. So Visma is the top team on paper for the coming season. Our Belgian team is now Egon Phillips' team for the coming year, and Ineos is the number 3 on paper. UAE slips down a little bit, just number 4 on paper for them, with Little Trek and Decathlon AG2R there in place. Our Belgian team, of course, was Soudal Quickstep, who have remained strong throughout, but this is definitely looking like the strongest that they have been, though this last season wasn't a great year for them, just 16 victories. A little more head-to-head comparison here. Astana, best they've looked since the start of the series this last season, and second most victories that they've had at any stage, but also only 16 for them. BMC, just 4 wins this last year. Yikes. Bora, 28 wins after a disappointing 7 the year before. They've had 30 plus or mid 25 plus each year, and then that really, really disappointing year the year before, and they've hovered about the same place year by year. Bahrain victorious, very steady, right at 4 stars, but just 9 wins last year. Citron, 9 wins, still at 4 stars. Citron, formerly Arkea. Decathlon, which was Groupama FDJ. Remember, they made that swap. What a strange swap to make, but they make that swap. And they are a little bit bigger and stronger this last year than they had been previously, and got their most wins for a little while with 25 this last year, but their record was 34. EF, staying right around that 4-star mark, just 12 wins last year. Ineos, major down year for a very, very strong team. I mean, they're always at 4.5, and last year was no exception to that, but only 17 wins. Lidl Trek, 30 wins after 54 and 64 in the previous couple of years. So big drop off for them, but still a good year. Lotto Destiny have inched above the 4-star mark the last couple of years, but no change to their record, just 11 wins. Their lowest, decreasing by 1 almost each year, but just barely decreasing year on year. Movistar, just above that 4-star mark and just 7 wins. Jayco Alula, solid, steady at 4 and 14 victories last year. Visma, 35. Not a great year, a little bit less than the previous years, but very steady. Not in the 50s that they had in those previous years, but definitely still a good, solid year and very, very strong as always. We'll come and look at ours in just a second, but DSM, 4 1/4, inched their way up from a 4-star program and doubled their win total from the previous year, but not their record second best. UAE, still a very strong year, and of course still Pogacar leading the way, just incredible ratings outside of the sprint category, but 51 victories this last year, probably the most of anyone. Fiddle, just 12 victories and just barely 4 stars. This was Decathlon AG2R before They took over Groupama FDJ, and they keep moving on from sponsors. But as for us, a 36 win season, our best since we moved into the World Tour calendar, right? Because we were Continental. That first year we hit Continental Pro, we did not have any World Tour races. We were doing the Continental Pro races. We raced constantly. We did every race to get control, to get the points, to get the higher ranking. And as a result, we had a very, very solid 36 wins. The year before with Continental race program, we dominated with 34 victories. The earlier years, we struggled in that first year. Still managed to get 7 wins, though, to get the snowball going and unlock a few nations to make us stronger. And with those few nations, we had back-to-back years of 23 victories. Went from no stars to 1.5 to 2.25 to 3 stars to dominating Continental to then 3.5 stars to make Continental Pro, where we then went and dominated Continental Pro to finish second in the rankings for Continental Pro and secure our path to a World Tour calendar, where we struggled as a newly minted 4-star team led by Edvin Hagland at the time. Struggled on that World Tour calendar, but still secured 20 victories. Then, with that same World Tour calendar this last year, still Continental Pro, this is where we started to dominate. We picked up 36 victories, matching our record year, and for the first time getting a hefty amount of wins at World Tour level. And in particular, most of those victories, a lot of those victories came at Grand Tours. Oh gosh, what, 16 wins, I think it was 3, 6, and 7, I believe, was the grand total on the 3 Grand Tours. And we very much do not look like those other teams, though that sprint is starting to get pretty strong, and we are finally starting to see the results of those. But back over to those rankings, France finished top, with Belgium slipping in number 2 right here at the end of the year. Italy, the UK, Denmark, Slovenia, Germany, Czech Republic, led by Vacek, USA, and Spain are the top 10 nation rankings at the end of the year. But those team rankings, a very, very solid and comfortable third place. Soudal, or soon to be former Soudal, 16,800 points behind us, with Van Wilder and Evenepoel leading the way, and Deli. But it's Williams. We'll look at our individuals here in a second, so I won't hover over that one just yet. But Visma, we were awfully close to them at the end of La Vuelta, but that final month or so of the season saw them pull away a little bit. But Vingegaard had a quarter of all of their points. They still have Van Aert and Philipsen and Walter and Steinhauser, who won that last race of the year, Stown Middet, Anderson. That is a stacked team. Sepp Kuss, just 10th in points with 444. And then, of course, UAE. And a third of their points went to Pogačar, with Sivakov scoring just 2,400. Schradl, Almeida, Ayuso, only 5th on their list. Mataway, Del Toro, Novak, 10th. Novak, a target of ours that I don't believe I ended up signing. Did I? I don't think I did. He was pinpointed and on our short list, though, or dossier list. But Vacek does hang on to second overall. Now, way behind Pogačar, right? 2,500 points behind him. But Vacek had an incredible season. 2,500 points from the Tour de France. 1,900 from La Vuelta. No surprise that those scored big for him with his top 5 performances and multiple stage wins. Ronde van Vlaanderen, he picked up 500 points. Santos Tour down under. The drop-off is pretty quick after that, but points here, points there, added up to second. Ahead of Vingegaard. Vingegaard had nearly 3K worth of points at the Giro. Did he win that one? I think he may have, but only 500 points at the Tour de France, his other Grand Tour. Well, I see 1,600 points at the Tour de France. Scored the bulk of his, but I mean, talk about a big drop-off. I mean, we were 1,000 points ahead of Vingegaard and almost 2,500 ahead of Malesi, so same direction, as Pogacar. That's a very, very comfortable top 2 or 3 guys in the rankings this year. But as we cut that down to how our team did, Vacek, who started the year really weak. He was new to the team. He was our replacement for Haglund because we couldn't afford to retain Haglund. And so we bring in Vacek as the more well-rounded guy that it was like, hey, I think this guy can win a lot. And then the first third of the season, nada. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then, of course, he also sat out the Giro. So his wake-up call happened, a week and a half before the Tour de France, his first win of the season at Tour de Suisse or Paris-Nice, whichever one we took him to. And that first stage win was a relief. It was like, oh my goodness, finally. And then the Tour came and it all changed. And of course, remember, it fell apart stage 1 when he crashed and lost 9 minutes. And if not for the reverse of what happened at La Vuelta, where 3 guys went into that break and won by a lot of time and put themselves onto the podium, 2 of those guys hanging on, Vacek was a part of that same scenario. He was in a break, he won the stage, he gained a load of time and ended up finishing on the podium. Drop off is pretty severe after that, though. We really did not have anybody else on the team capable of doing much. Harasim, 46th in the final rankings, just 1,300 points. Shui had 62. Lind was 63rd in the rankings. 65th. Those guys all right there together. Montez and Shaw as well. Vasilevsky just outside the top 100. Gained a lot there in that final race of the season. Tour of Guangxi with those couple stage wins. Pickroll, Ponomar, Vasilevsky, of course, just leveled up very late in the year as well, and that really helped him out with that one. But that's what we amassed. Haddad, such a strong climber, 650 points. Strong climber, not elite, not great, just strong, right? Kind of an average climber in comparison to the rest of the peloton when we're talking about World Tour only. But our new signings show up on here as well, and none of them rank high. Sorensen, 172nd. So not one of the new guys cracked the top 150, and yet I would expect them to be up here with Vacek or above Vacek next season as stronger climbers. Just goes to show what we do with a weak team, right? We bring in guys that are stronger than what we have, and yet they aren't even in the top 150 in points. They're going to come here and be a force to be reckoned with, the way that Vacek was this season. Just for that comparison's sake, right? He's been with us for 1 year now. 1 year is all. 2 years at Lidl Trek, barely cracked the top 150. Then moves to DSM. So he's been at World Tour all those 6 previous years. Top 150, one solid year for DSM where he was 54th, but 0 victories where he had victories in previous seasons. Then 129th and 78th. Didn't even crack the top 75 and never once cracked the top 50. This year he's second in the world. And the ratings haven't changed. I mean, he's been a 74 in that first year, 75 every other year since mountain rating. 75, he did pick up 2 points, medium mountain, but his hills rating has been identical. His sprint capability and cobble capability has been identical. He has gained a little bit in time trial, and that's absolutely helped him out. But he's had 11 wins this year, nearly matching the entirety of his career. Not quite, but nearly matching what he's done in the other years. Stamina got a little bit better, but none of this is recent, right? There is no gains over the last 3 years. Nothing. Same rider over the last 3 years that he has been. He was World Tour every year until this year, but of course had the World Tour calendar and raced that World Tour calendar throughout. But it really paid off moving to our team for him. Well, the Cyanide Trophy, the Star of the Year, did not go our way. Vacek did not even finish on the podium, and actually really disappointing on how it worked out because, okay, Pogacar was the favorite. Pogacar wins the trophy. That was deserved. But Vingegaard finishes second in the voting. Okay, I can live with that. But Oscar Onley goes third in the voting? Okay, Vingegaard had a weak year. Only 8 victories. World ranking was third. Pogacar had 20 victories and world ranking was first. Like, no surprise. No surprise. And you've got Grand Tour winners here, but Onley gets one victory all year and finishes 14th in the rankings, and he gets third. And of course, that victory came because of a breakaway, and then just having enough quality to hang on to a massive advantage that was accumulated from that. That's okay though. That is okay. At the end of the day, Vacek did get a fair amount of votes. He was fifth in the final votings. Van Wilder was fourth ahead of him. We'll see what next year brings. Speaking of, though, we're going to be heading into the next season with this next episode. I'm excited to see what some stronger climbers and what proper World Tour, no difference in the actual calendar for us, but proper World Tour can do, and whether we can compete with those top couple of teams this year. We certainly were able to compete with them this year. We were very competitive. Can we beat them? I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.